Hello.
Alright, welcome back to our channel. We're coming to you from Colorado. We are back in the United States right now. And you'll see videos of, or if you haven't seen them already, of the dogs
Not yet.
welcoming us back. And we're still kind of jet lagged, we're tired. But we wanted to make a video kind of describing what our experience was for the travel. Right now there's a lot of travel issues going on as far as staffing goes, and flight delays, and just general problems with traveling right now. So, and we did experience some of that.
Some of it, yeah.
So we're just going to make a quick video here and explain everything that we had issues with. So we actually left our house early, about 3:30 in the morning, to get down to Manila. We got to Manila right at
7 o'clock.
The Manila airport. And as soon as we got there, they weren't allowing anyone to go into the airport itself. And no one there could tell us why they were doing that. Still not real sure, other than them trying to
limit the people inside?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it wasn't limiting the people inside. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make, is it didn't make sense to me. They were creating a backlog of people outside, hundreds of people.
Yeah, because they won't let them in, so it happens is they all stuck outside.
Yeah, and no one knew what was going on. And then
they're just following, like, okay, there's some people in here.
The security guard said, "Oh, well, they'll announce when your airline is ready to
let you in."
Well, they weren't doing that, and when they did announce, you couldn't hear them, you couldn't understand them, and it wasn't just us; it was everybody.
Yeah, none of them knows what to do.
So we finally got in there, and we sat out there for over an hour. Outside. Yeah. Waiting to get in to have our bags checked and everything. So we went in. We waited for, I don't know, probably another hour before we were able to get our bags checked. We flew from Manila to Seoul on Korean Airlines.
And it's nice that we got there early, even when our flight won't leave until noon because of the delays.
Right. So Korean Airlines is, if you've never flown them, I've flown them several times.
It's my first time.
They're an outstanding airline. I love Korean Airlines. Not saying that they probably don't have problems from time to time, but my experience with them is very, very positive. And we'll explain that here in a little bit as far as what we experienced through them. So we got through, had our bags checked. We went down to the gate. And we waited a little bit down there. Not too bad down there.
I don't know how many times they have to check your boarding pass. And
we were checked 6 times between
immigration and
yes, but by the time we went down, once we put our luggage in, checked our baggage, we were checked 6 separate times with our boarding pass and our passports. And I understand that there is a need to make sure that everybody's on the up and up, but it got to the point where it was literally a chair and a table sitting there, and somebody, blocking the way and checking people.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So every time you have to go out of there, you have to show your boarding pass.
Right.
Every time.
So we ended up getting on the plane, and then we were delayed. Now we had a connecting flight in Seoul, and we had an hour and 50 minutes basically
to make it to
the next flight in Seoul. So we were in the plane. We're sitting there, and we're there. They come on the announcement, and it says, we're waiting to get the clearance for pushback away from the gate.
Yeah.
And we sat there for
an hour,
at least about half hour. Then once we get the pushback, then we were taxiing. They stopped us in mid-taxi, and they said, well, because of high amounts of traffic, we waited over an hour.
Yeah.
So by the time we took off, that hour and 50 minutes was...
It's gone.
It was, well, not totally gone, but we had issues. Now, kudos to Korean Airlines again. Yeah. Instead of just arriving late, they actually
I think
increased.
They let them know.
They did, but they increased the speed that we were flying.
Yeah.
We actually made up a good amount of time on the flight. So we arrived in Seoul.
As soon as you entered, there's some of their crews already there.
Well, we arrived, and it was about an hour and 30 minutes that we had in between arriving and getting on our next flight. So if you've ever been through Korea at Seoul, you get off your plane, and you have to go down the terminal, and then you go back through security and then you have to go up a level, and then you're getting to the departures, to where your gate is at. So what happened was they Delta was flying out of Seoul. That was their Korean Airlines partner for this trip. So we got off of the plane in Seoul, and Delta had individuals already waiting there at the gates,
saying this is where you need to go,
telling us you need to, if this is your connecting flight, this is where you need to go, and just go. And they stamped our tickets, our boarding passes, and they said, so you don't have to worry about
anything,
having all of this stuff checked at the gate. We're going to do it right here for you. They stamped it, and we were on our way. All we had to do was make it through security and then go straight to the gate. Now, Korean, or the Incheon airport, Seoul, is very good. It's a great airport. At least that's my experience.
I wish we had more time in there.
So we went through, and their security is very quick. They actually immediately opened up another security lane
once that plane.
Once they saw that the plane had arrived, and they knew that there was some issues with time, they immediately opened up another line, and everybody got through it very, very quickly. We actually went through security, went right to the terminal where we needed to go, had a quick restroom break, and literally walked over there, walked to the gate, and walked on the plane.
And boarded.
Yeah. And then we were delayed there before we were able to take off there for a while. So our flight from Seoul to Seattle, we were delayed on the ground there for a little while. At that point, we didn't care. That was our only tight time for our trip. We didn't really care if it got delayed at that point.
Yeah, as long as we were already in the plane.
So we were able to get on the plane. We took off, and then for about the next hour and a half,
oh my God,
it was
really
moderate turbulence, I would say, and
bad case of motion sickness.
Yeah, it was not the best flight going out of there.
Yeah, it's really bad.
The flight itself was mediocre as far as our experience.
Yeah.
with Delta. The food was poor. The food was poor. Korean Airlines again is awesome. That their food, even on the short trip, and it's about a 4-hour flight from Manila to Seoul, the food is the same quality that I've had before on Korean Airlines, and it's very high quality food, and it's not. Even with the pandemic, they have not lowered their standard for their food, so it was very good. We actually gained some time on that flight. So it was about a 9.5-hour flight from Seoul to Seattle. So we actually had a pretty good tailwind and pushed us along and got us there quicker than expected. So we got off at Seattle. They told us multiple times, we're going to land at the new international arrival area, and it's designed to speed up the process for everybody. So and it's nice. It's a nice new building. You get off the plane. It took us about 10 minutes walk to get to where you collect your baggage, and the baggage carousel was broken, so we had to wait for that. Even though it's brand new, it was broken.
Yours is already out. Mine is...
Right, so we had to wait there for probably 10 minutes before it got started back up again, which wasn't a big deal. And then you collect your bags, and that's your port of entry, so you have to go through customs and passport
control. So
we went over through passport control, and it was going really quickly. And it's funny because they let Manlin slide right through, not a problem, and they flagged me, and so they pull me out of the line.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on?
We go to a little room, and there's multiple people there doing it too. It wasn't just me. But we figured out why later, and it just depends on where you're coming from, because it ended up being that they were concerned about agricultural items
what you're
for
bringing.
us. So, no issues. I mean, they could look in our bags. I don't care. We didn't have anything in there that we shouldn't have. We were not trying to bring something in that
and they have specific items they ask.
So we sit in the room for just a few minutes. They were actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
The border guys were actually really good. They're just doing their job. But they pull me out and they say, where are you coming from? And I said, well, originally Philippines. We stopped in Korea really quick. But Philippines, and immediately he started asking me about dried fish and mangoes and longanisa and chorizo and this and I'm like, no, I don't have any.
We don't have any of those.
I know you can't bring that stuff in. I'm not going to bring any of that stuff in. So we didn't bring any of that. And I said, well, we brought some
peanut butter.
little bit of decorations back. Christmas decorations and some peanut butter. That was it. And we brought the peanut butter back before, and it was not an issue. And it wasn't an issue this time. They were more concerned about the plants and the meats, that kind of stuff. So they ran our bags through a X-ray again, and said, "Oh, you're good to go." So that literally was 5 minutes maybe total.
And then
by the time we got to that room until we were done with all of that. So we go through, get out,
check our bags again.
We have to run over, just drop our bags. We didn't have to check them because they were already checked. They were already had a tag on them. So you literally just hand your bags over to the baggage handlers, and they'll put it on the way to your final destination.
And then security again.
So then we have to go through another security checkpoint before we're allowed to go find our gates.
Yeah.
And this is where TSA was not I don't know if they didn't have the staff or what
There's
the
only
deal
like
was.
one.
It was way too slow. I mean, they literally had multiple plane loads of people coming,
At the same
and they're
time.
all funneling through this one little security checkpoint that's right after customs, and they had one
Just one lane
line
open. Yeah.
Then
They open another
then
one.
they opened up another one, but that wasn't enough. They should have opened a couple more
Yeah.
because they literally they had hundreds of people waiting, hundreds, and we were lucky because our connecting flight wasn't for hours.
Yeah.
But
not,
if we
yeah.
had a connecting flight within 2 hours, we would not have made it because of because of the whole process of the customs and the searching of the bag. That was pretty quick, really. That didn't take long at all. However, if you add up all the time and then you throw on top of it standing in line to get through a security checkpoint, I mean, it was. They should have opened up multiple. Once they opened up this second one, it did go quicker, obviously. But and like I said, I don't know if they didn't have the staffing available or what the deal was, but there was a lot of people waiting in line to get through that checkpoint.
Yeah.
So we got through that checkpoint, and then
another issue with the gates.
Yeah, we went found where our flight was going to supposedly be taken
yeah.
off. And then we went and got some food and that kind of thing. So then we go back and
checked it again.
And it's changed gates.
It changes how many times? 3 times?
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just us. By the time we finally got to the right gate where it was actually going to depart from, we weren't the ones who were really upset.
Yeah,
there were
people
a lot
were
of people.
confused.
There was a lot of people going to Denver that were going up and were like, "Is this the right gate?" And she was great. The gal that was there working for Delta, she was really good. She was very professional, and she didn't lose her cool because there was a lot of people going up and going, "This is like the 4th time you've changed the gate number on our flight," and it was. And so we, that was our last real hiccup. And after that, they finally figured out which gate they wanted to use. And we actually had gone up and talked to an individual, one of the Delta guys, and said, this was the second or third gate, and said, "Hey, we're a little confused because you keep changing the gate numbers." He said, "Oh no, this is the gate." Well, it wasn't. It ended up changing again after that. Now, we didn't have any delays.
No.
Leaving.
We actually got here
Seattle.
on time.
We had a little bit of a rough landing in Denver. There was a storm that had gone through and come over the mountains, and it's Denver's always interesting to land in anyway, but. So we had some issues with some delays and that kind of thing. Luckily, the airlines took care of us to a good degree and allowed us to make our connecting flight.
Just glad to be back home.
So and normally when I book the flights, I don't cut it that close. Even 2 hours is pretty close for me. I usually try to make it longer.
4 hours.
3 or 4 hours, just to have that cushion. And this was a good reason why I do that, because honestly, if they had not put Delta personnel out there telling everybody where to go,
we're screwed.
We probably would have missed that flight.
Won't be able to board on that plane.
And then again, when we got into Seattle, if we had a connecting flight that was within 2 hours, we would have missed that flight as well because of the process and of customs and all that. And not the customs was bad; it was just a bottleneck at security.
It's just a lot of.
I don't think that TSA was expecting the number of people that they got all at once, and it just bottlenecked everything up, and it was just crazy. And the worst part for that is when you're trying to go through security, it's bad enough. But then you have a lot of individuals. They're flying from other countries coming to the United States, and so they may not understand what process TSA is trying to tell them to do. So it creates more time, and it backlogs everybody through that.
I don't know if they still check your vaccine cards.
We were never checked for
vaccine
ask for card or anything.
Card.
When we left Seoul, we still had to wear a mask on the plane until we were in the air.
Yeah.
Once we were in the air, they came over and told us that you could remove your mask or wear it, your choice.
Yeah. Even in Seattle.
And Seattle was fine. Nobody ever.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to wear a mask.
And there's probably half and half probably in Seattle. The half wasn't wearing it, half was. So that's our experience for coming back. It wasn't the smoothest flight coming back.
Oh yeah, that's the worst one for me. I was
and
sick
as far as headaches go, as for
headaches,
just delays and problems with even getting into the Manila airport, just that kind of thing. It wasn't smooth at all, but overall, it wasn't my worst experience flying. And we did get it for a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Right now the prices were really, really high, and we saved a lot of money by finding this one set of flights. So with that, we're back. Probably take us a day or two before we get caught up on sleep, and we got a lot of stuff to do here. We're already trying on that. And we got all the hounds here with us.
Come here, baby. This is my dog.
And so they were happy to see us, and got all the hounds here. So with that, we'll let you go, and hopefully we've given you some little bit of info that maybe you will think about prior to your flights, and maybe you can adjust where needed to give yourselves the time to make your travel a little bit easier. Ours wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best that I've ever had either. So we hope you all travel and have a safe trip wherever you're going. And join us again next time on our adventures in America now, until we go back to the Philippines.
Yeah.
So with that, we will see you next time.
Bye.